in public, to be feted, to be treated in public as a writer, I don't think it's generally good for the writer. It makes me very self-conscious of my work. Makes me feel that I ought to regard myself as more important than I really am. I don't regard myself as important. I don't think any artist really does. It is the pop artists, the singers, the violinists, if you like, the performers in general, who are made to be regarded as important, and regard themselves as important. But I think the creative artist, the musician, the composer, the novelist, the poet, regards his work as far more important than himself. What he has done is possibly of some value, but what he is as a person is of no value. I regard myself as of no value as a person, but as a writer, possibly of some value. Unfortunately, it's an aspect of my personality that has to come across in public. And this is not really relevant to the kind of work I do. There's a conflict going on, and the conflict is not very pleasant. Here in Monte Carlo, we achieved something very great. We actually persuaded some of the citizens of this principality to take notice of a great writer, not myself, but of a writer who was born 100 years ago. This is the Irish writer, James Joyce, whom I regard as one of my masters, very great writer, very great experimental writer, great creator of great works. And then one had to cease to be the writer of one's own words. One had to become the critic of another. One had to start talking about a man who meant a great deal to myself, privately, and in terms of my work. One had to meet the leaders of the state, ambassadors, princes, and one wonders about the relevance of all this in literature. One is celebrating a writer, but one can imagine James Joyce in heaven or in purgatory or possibly even in hell, laughing at this. What has this got to do with the work I've done? What is this holding of a dinner in which Irish food is served, the singing of Irish songs, the table ronde in which academics weightily discourse on the significance of this great writer? What the hell is this to do with the real job of writing? Nothing at all. Still, it's a duty, and a duty one performs, but not with pleasure.
On peut dire beaucoup de choses. Dans le premier chapitre, Buck Mulligan dit, quand il se déshabille, and going forth, he met Butterly. C'est parodique, il cite la Bible, going forth, he wept bitterly, weiter bitterlich, et il pleura avec amertume. Mais on a mentionné un nom, Butterly. En conséquence, c'est nécessaire, plus tard dans le livre, présenter un vrai personnage.
I'm not satisfied. I've been writing for a long time now. I think published about 45 books, which is rather too much, I'm told. But I'm not satisfied. I feel I'm getting old, and I feel that I'm learning all the time, and I'm not learning quickly enough. It is possible for me someday, I think, to write a good book, but I haven't written one yet. The art of writing is so difficult that one is always disappointed by everything one writes. I sit down to a blank piece of paper. This blank piece of paper contains the potentiality of something good, but as soon as I write the first words, the prospect is ruined, because I have written the only thing I can write, and what I can write is, according to me, not good enough. Well, at this moment here, I have on my knee a set of proofs. This is a book which is coming out in the fall of this year, and it's a book about my two arts. It's a book about literature and music, in which I try to explain what the two arts have to do with each other, what they've had to do with each other in my own life. I have a chapter on how to write a symphony and how this compares with writing a novel. I try to discuss the nature of music, whether it's a language, what the notes that we hear in music have in common with the sounds we hear when we hear a sentence or read a sentence. And I'm very dissatisfied with it. I think every time one receives a set of proofs of a book that is to be published, one wishes one could throw it away. It's so bad because it represents myself a year ago. I was a different person then. I've learned more since then, but I can't change it. So I have to say, all right, there it goes, publish it, but I don't really like it.